just yours, so anti-fashion, so worthless. Instead I'm dressing down all the same. As if I look like that, I cannot split my decide. Rabbi let me explain, but you never see. It'll be years. Il faut déclarer pour le bon, je dis pas la déjà frère. Comme un truc à pas de rêver, and I don't believe like Frank Sinatra.
Morning. I'm at the home of, I'm very excited, I'm at the home of the writer and novelist Neil Mason. I've come on to have a chat with him today and talk to him about his gripping new novel, There, My Dear. So, good morning, Neil.
Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Fantastic, thanks. Really good to be here. Good to chat to you again about the novel because you know I'm a big fan of the novel. I absolutely love this book, so it's really great to be here. It's a bit of a passion for me, just talking about the books in general anyway, but obviously I'm a huge fan of your book. So, tell us a little bit again about because it's such an interesting story, it's such a unique story. Tell us again a little bit about what inspired it.
It goes back quite some time now. It goes back to 2009. And there was an article in the press about Simon Cowell and his idea of producing a talent contest similar to Britain's Got Talent for aspiring politicians. And it just put a lot of thoughts in my head about the whole relationship between politics and reality TV. And that really sort of sparked the whole idea of the book. And the more I thought about it, well, it's one of those things, you know, sometimes early in the morning you hear a tune on the radio and it's staying in your head. It was similar to that. I was aware of this piece of media and I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And it just made me think more and more and more about that relationship, politics and social media, and there just had to be a good story in there somehow. Do you know what I mean? There had to be. And if you look at, I mean, today we're just a few weeks away from the general election here, and the popularity of political leaders in the run up to the election is based on their TV coverage.
That's one of the things that struck me first of all, because when I first read the book, I remember thinking, well, I mean, this could never happen, you know, a popularity contest to elect an MP. But then when you actually look at how social media driven politics is and how it literally is almost like an online popularity contest, you start to think that, well, hang on, this actually isn't quite so far-fetched after all.
Absolutely. I think if you've got social media, if you've got the press on your side, it's almost secondary what your policies are. And you see the current political leaders, they're perceived in different ways by the people who watch the news on the TV, who read the newspapers, who get their news from social media streams and what have you. So there's, I think the concept that the book is based on, I think is absolutely current, and I don't think it will change. I don't think it'll move on very much from being, the winner of anything going forward will be the one who wins the hearts and minds of the population through their media presence.
Irrespective of their policies, and irrespective of, and that's something else the book touches on, irrespective of whether what they're saying is actually true or not.
Well, yeah, truth.
Yeah, not that I would suggest that our politicians or politicians globally are broadly lying to us, but another interesting thing that the book touches on is not just about the popularity contest, but also about some actual political events, historical political events that have happened as well, and that are impacting on the current administration.
I mean, there's a big suggestion in the book, well, it is part of the plot of their idea that something untoward is happening with Africa. And that is my creation. How close to the truth that is, who knows? But it does refer. There's a part of the plot through the political side of their idea, whereby I refer to a real event that happened in Africa, which was a siege at an oil refinery that hit the press. And then disappeared very quickly. So no journalists were asking questions. Well, who owns the oil refinery? Who works there? How long has it been there? And where did the profits go? Because the whole thing just disappeared from the press really quickly. And I refer to that exact event in their idea that then suggests that. The politicians or governments or what have you can control the press to make certain things disappear from the headlines, and that's exactly what happened with that siege in Africa. So,
and it's interesting. I don't want to dwell on this too much, but and I'm not quite sure how much you can say, but I know that there has been some suggestion, and we've had some contact, and there has been some suggestion about the storyline, and there has been some suggestion that perhaps events that you describe in the book may be touching a little close to the truth. And I think it's been suggested that for legal reasons we probably shouldn't talk about that too much, but how much are you prepared to say at this stage?
I think,
or is there more likely to...
The thing is, the novel's out there. What I've written is out there, and it's available for people to read.
Is it fair to say that a few feathers have been ruffled in certain places by the implications in this novel?
I think I find it quite odd because the storyline is partly based on what has happened in Africa, and when I was writing the novel, in my mind it was a great piece of fiction. I made it all up myself, but I've become aware of the fact that it is quite sensitive, that I might have accidentally touched on something that's a bit closer to the truth than maybe the establishment wants us to know. So it'll be interesting. There's an opportunity here, again, for something quite odd to happen, that what I have suggested in their idea about Africa could be close to the truth, but could be spun by the media as fake news. Do you know what I mean? That's always an opportunity, because I've got no real evidence that's been demonstrated to me that the situation in Africa is as I say it is. But the feathers have been ruffled.
I mean, we probably shouldn't say too much more at this stage. I'm sure there'll be a bit more to report, as the weeks and months go by. Providing you're not incarcerated and at liberty to talk about it. So
I'm wondering whether there is a risk of that happening, because
perhaps we should leave it at that. At this stage, but it does make for an incredibly interesting story, and I think when you understand, it's almost like in your mind as you're reading the book, you understand, well, actually, how much of this story is true and how much is fiction. I think for the reader, it makes it a very fascinating plot.
Yeah, I think, so when I was writing it, I think my mind was telling me this is not a massive leap from what happened way back in the 1940s, what happened again in the early 1990s, and where we are now. It's not a massive leap to think that there's a controlling influence over the prosperity of Africa.
So, and control and manipulation is very much a large part of the thread of this story, isn't it? Because we've got the reality TV show to select a politician who's actually going to stand as a real politician, and then we've got somebody in government or formerly in government who sees this as an opportunity to manipulate a bit further.
Absolutely, yeah. You got Harold Connor who's the retired former Prime Minister. He sees this, first of all, he thinks this whole competition, TV competition, is a bit of a joke. And then he sees it as an opportunity to, almost like some kind of catharsis. He wants to get a load of stuff off his chest about what he was involved in politically 20 odd years ago, and stuff that has impacted on his life dramatically, and he just wants to get it all off his chest and reveal the truth. And that's manipulation. The manipulation of the press, Kyle Andrews.
The Simon Cowell.
He's the media mogul. He needs absolute control over the production of the program, of the series of competition episodes. He needs that control, and he then starts to control the social media around that, leaking bits here, making stuff happen there, creating scenarios within the whole shooting process in order to have control over the outcomes. And the underlying theme in them idea is power and control. And it's
certainly a strong thing.
And it is the story, pretty much.
If I look like that.